Hello once again. Sorry about earlier, but due to technical difficulties, we had to restart the video once again, and we are now live once again. Hello, Oxford Close. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Silent Time Traveler. Thank you for joining us. Psychology Carly Shafri. Thank you for joining us right now. Now we're just waiting for Cuts for him to join us. So again, apologies to everyone that we had to start all over again. We were just on a roll, and as it's such a usual thing, as you know, we have technical difficulties, and we have to just allow the show to continue. So there you go. And here's my man, Cut for him right now. So we're going to invite him to the show. Thank you very much, Shaun, for joining us again. I can see you've been really patient. Just waving and saying hello. Oh, that's better.
Well, hello.
See you now. Well, hello.
Third time lucky.
Third time lucky. Yes, indeed.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining me. You know, you're. I know that you're a very busy man. You know, with all the styling gigs that are going on. You know that you have going on. I mean,
It's
first of all, before we begin, I would like to say congratulations on your marriage and your wedding.
Thank you very much. Yes.
You know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank you.
welcome to the
thank you.
the marriage club. You know.
I know. Only been a month.
Been a month now.
Fresh.
Oh, honeymoon period.
Fresh off the press.
You know, I'm not saying anything. I say you're welcome to the honeymoon period. And you
got to be in it to know, right?
So I've got to be very careful and on my toes.
That's right.
You'll learn about that when you pass.
Oh, no, I'm going to be taking tips from you, sir.
Yeah, so,
thanks for having me.
So for everyone that just joined us, if you just joined us and missed the first part of the show, I just wanted to introduce you to Edmund, who is at Cut for Him. He's an influential content creator who has starred in, or featured rather, in Vogue, GQ, New York Times, and he has worked with a vast numerous of clients, such as your Globetrotter, help me out here, Edmund. You just look at me like, no,
Tom Ford, Max and Spencer's, Aspinall.
Ralph Lauren.
That's right.
Tom Ford. How could I forget Tom Ford?
I know,
well.
yeah.
So, you know. So how are you today? Let's start again.
I am doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm marvelous. I'm good, you know. I'm just
Fantastic.
really excited.
You look great. I mean, the hat and everything else. Come on.
You know, I knew I was meeting you, so I didn't want to disappoint.
Don't start.
Okay, right. So, I've got a few questions for you, and also I have some questions from our viewers who would like to ask you a question as well. And obviously, I will chip in where necessary. You know, but so you are the ambassador of Peroni. Tell me more about that.
Yes, I'm one of the ambassadors. I'm super chuffed for that. You know, I did quite a few work for them last year. Yeah. Amazing brand. Sorry, you mentioned Peroni, but I'm pouring something else here. Apologies for that.
That's absolutely fine. I'm actually drinking peppermint tea. I'm trying to be responsible.
Okay. Fair enough.
You know, because I know what I'm like when I get my Glenfiddich on, and
right.
You know, I can be.
You get all relaxed, right?
Yeah, maybe too relaxed. You know, some of the questions I come out with might not be a part of the agenda.
Fair enough. That's what we want to see. We want to hear it.
Oh,
all
really? Oh, no,
yes.
No. You don't know what you're asking for. You don't
Oh, dear.
Okay. Yeah. So how would you describe the taste of Peroni to someone that is not a regular beer drinker, per se?
I think Peroni is... I mean, I know for a fact it's a luxury beer. It's on the top end of the beer spectrum.
Yeah.
It's quite smooth and mellow.
Right.
It doesn't leave a bitter aftertaste. You know, it's quite. I don't know. You drink it and you feel good, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say to that, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's amazing.
Okay.
It's great.
I mean, my experience of drinking Peroni as well has been quite crisp, you know, quite crisp to start and a bit of a kick at the back of the throat, which I've always liked since I like my drink to command some form of respect anyhow. So, you know, so for you to be ambassador of that particular lager, it's amazing, man. Well done, you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So please talk me through what you're wearing today, because you've got a lovely jazzy tie there. You know that I'm a fan of ties,
so we're gonna go through that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wearing a window pane suit. This is quite old. It's about 4 years old.
Yeah.
It's from Suit Supply.
Yeah.
I've got this white shirt, off-white shirt, by Eating Shirts.
Okay.
I almost got there. And I've got this tie, this amazing tie. It's a brand new tie. I wore it purposely for you, Shaun. It's Eating Shirt.
I love
beautiful tie. Beautiful tie.
I love the chain on it. The chain design.
Thank you. I
might
thought
have
it might
to
be
get
a bit rude because
my
you're a tie maker and I'm talking about another tie. But I thought, you know what? Yeah. So that's Eating Shirts. Yeah, that's what I'm wearing.
Yeah, and you also work with Eating Shirts as well within your shoots and your campaigns, right?
I have. I've been working with Eating Shirts for at least a couple of years now.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, so when did you became interested in clothing and dressing well? That's a good
question. That is a good question. I think if my memory serves me right, I became interested in fashion when I was in primary school. Yes, my uncle was around and he always used to dress to the nines. He's a dapper guy, you know. He's got all the designer labels and things like that. I was very much into that.
Yeah.
So from an early age, I was looking at what he was wearing and I was like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be like him and things like that, you know. Yeah. And then as soon as I became a teenager, when some of his stuff was, you know, could fit me, I started to nick them. More or less. You know, and then he caught up. He was like, well, you know, you can have them, you know. Yeah. And he started to do the hand-me-downs kind of thing. So I started to wear what he was wearing and the rest was history. But it was not until 2015 that I thought, you know what, let me push this a little bit further to actually make something out of it, right? So there was one time I went to church on Sunday, you know, all dressed up. And then a friend of mine said, you know what, you always come to church looking very, very dapper. Yeah. Why didn't you start your own blog? I was like, not sure about that. You know, there's one thing to dress well, and then there's another thing to put yourself out there. Yeah. But I thought about it, and I was like, actually, maybe it's not such a bad idea. So what I did then was I bought a camera, and then I was walking the streets of London, shooting other men that looked dapper. Right. You know, 'cause I was interested in the tailored look, more or less. Yeah. But that kind of like did not take off as, you know, as well as I wish it to take off, more or less. You might approach someone and be like, yeah, sure, why not? And then you might approach someone else and be like, why do you want to take a photo of me? What are you gonna do with it? You know? Yeah. So it kind of like, you know what, they've got a point. So there was one time a photographer friend of mine said to me, before you come to church on Sunday, make sure you dress well. We're going to go out. We're going to shoot you. So I was like, okay, why not? Yeah. So after church, we went out and he shot me. His name is Charles. And he shot me. And then I posted one of those shots and it just picked up. Because people wanted to see who was behind the name Cuts for Him. So as soon as I posted that, and then it just picked up. There was a lot more engagement. People wanted to know more about me. And the rest was history. Okay. And how did you get the name Cuts for Him? That's interesting. You know, that is a good point. You know, a lot of times people ask me, so what's that? You know, what is Cuts for Him? Why Cuts for Him? I mean, some people get it straight away, but some people ask. Cuts for Him is basically, obviously, I'm interested in tailored look, right? Yeah. And when you talk about a suit, a typical suit, you know, like a tailor-made suit, you know, you need a tailor's cut, more or less. You need to cut the fabric and then put it together. So I thought about that, you know, tailoring, cuts and everything else. I thought cuts, and then for him, it's for men, right? It's for him, it's for the guy, more or less. So that's where the name Cuts for Him came from. Okay. And of course, the idea was that, you know, later on in the future, I'll be able to introduce my own collection, more or less. that would actually fit into that remit
Okay.
more, so that was, I was thinking 5-10 years ahead when I chose the name, more or less.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I get you. Okay. Right. And so, currently, are you working on your a collection? I can hear something. I can hear something.
Sure,
You're
don't
making
make
me
me say anything
excited here.
I don't want to say.
Are you designing, working on a collection, sir?
You know what? I have been working on something, and I'm sure I've shared this with
Are we
you
keeping
before.
it are we being secretive?
No, it's something. It's accessories. I'm
Okay.
sure I spoke to you about this, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I've been working on. But until I get to the point where I think it's actually ready or I'm good, then I can come out and actually talk about it a lot more.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, for now.
You're looking at. That's okay. Take a sip. Take a breather.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how would you describe your style? Because through the time I've been following you on Instagram, from the time we actually ran into each other in London Fashion Week, I believe.
That's right.
And I've noticed that not only you cater to the whole kind of British tailoring, but you also fusion your African heritage inside your style as well. I would love you to touch on that a little bit more, because I find it so interesting how, as Black men, how we can be still en route with our culture, and yet, we are Black British men, but we still know our roots and how we fuse it with the current modern day lifestyle,
Yeah.
So, you've sent me a picture, and it seemed as though you're wearing your traditional kind of robe over the tailored suit, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Walk me through that styling, that outfit. I would love to find out more.
Sure. So for me personally, I love the tailored look, as I've mentioned before. I love suits, more or less. Yeah. And one of the reasons why I thought suits resonated with me at a very early age was growing up, there's a lot of streetwear, a lot of, especially Black boys would, streetwear is king, more or less, baggy trousers, sports trousers, shirts and things like that. And for me, it wasn't something that resonated with me. Like I said, I grew up around my uncle, and he used to dress to the nines, So I think that kind of like rubbed off on me. So growing up now, I always wanted to dress in a responsible way. It's not the right term, to be honest, because you can't judge someone by what they wear. But unfortunately, society, how you dress is how they're going to receive you,
exactly, right?
So for me, I kind of like develop that ethos of dressing well. And dressing well in our society means you wear a nice suit and tie,
yes,
crisp shirt and things like that. So I just kind of like went with that, And of course, I have a culture, obviously, out of the UK. I was born in Sierra Leone, born and raised in Sierra Leone, and we have traditional attires, and one of them is the big gown, more or less, that
a gown, okay,
we were talking about, yeah.
Right. To me, that looked like an not an overall, but it almost looked like an apron, because how like some of the Asian cultures, they've got that beautiful long kind of silk.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. But it's interesting you mentioned it's a gown. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a robe, it's a gown. It's just and even the Nigerians call it the agbada.
Yeah.
It's African, especially West Africa. So if you go to various countries within West Africa, you will see men wearing it, more or less, So, and it's a statement piece, and it's very hot because the fabric's quite thick and big and everything else.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, okay, I am living in England right now, and I absolutely love tailoring. I love my suit, but at the same time, I want to introduce people to my culture, what it might look like, and unfortunately, over the years, I think the culture or the aesthetics of where I'm from has been dumbed down a lot. It has been compromised, via so many means, like Ankara and things like that.
Yeah.
And once we start to get into Ankara itself is not even African. It was created for Africans by Europeans, right? So, so again, it's just the perspective of how people see Africa, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to say, okay, I am in Europe, but I'm also African.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of like fused the two. You know, I wore a tailor-made suit and then I put an agbada over it, you know, to actually show that, you know what, I'm proud of both.
Of course.
You know, I'm comfortable in both, you know. That's where the concept came in. And in the past, I actually did a series called Cultured in Culture, more or less, wherein, you know, I'll take my culture and fuse it into another culture, more or less.
Yeah.
You know, and at the time, I traveled a lot. You know, obviously before lockdown, you know, I was traveling a lot.
Thank goodness for that. I'm glad to see that you're alive and well, sir. You look alive, you know.
Exactly. So I did a lot of that. I did a lot of those gigs, and that photo that you're talking about was one of them, and it was actually shot at London Bridge. At rush hour, first thing in the morning, where everyone was wearing suits, and I was wearing that. So it kind of like stood out.
Okay, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Yes, alone. Oh man, I would love to visit someday. You know.
You know what? You'd be welcome. You'd love it. You probably wouldn't want to come back.
That's very good. I'll make sure I have my Panama hat all ready. And
come through,
you know,
come
my
through.
linen
Feel right at home.
For sure. Oh yes, indeed. I might not wear a tie. I might wear my cravat instead. You know, just to get
perfect.
Let the breeze pass through. You know.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I really wanted to find out your opinion on this particular question. We've been mentioning it across Instagram stories, so everyone is aware that we're going to answer the question. And so I'll fire away and ask you.
Please
so how do you think style will evolve during the opening up of UK lockdown? So as you know already, we've been through the first lockdown.
Second lockdown.
We're just about coming out the second lockdown.
Third lockdown, actually.
Right, a lot of us are a bit nervous. You know, we're testing the water with our big toe and all sorts. And and I don't blame the public for being still in that mentality of under lockdown, even though some are still going to work, etc. You know, but I want to hear from you in terms of style, design, menswear as a whole. From your perspective, how do you see that evolving? Or, if it's easier to answer, which direction do you think it's going in? And I'm going to say nothing now.
Okay, fair enough. You know what? That's a hard question, to be fair, because obviously no one thought about the pandemic until it happened. But one thing for sure is that fashion always evolved, right? And fashion is like a revolving door. You know, it goes all the way around and come back. So nothing that we currently have is new. You know, it always goes, you know, probably a couple of decades and then it comes back more or less. Right. So coming out of the UK lockdown, aesthetically, in terms of probably how suits, you know, are going to look like, I don't think it's going to change, to be honest, because a suit is a suit is a suit, right?
Okay.
It all depends on the seasons, obviously. You know, you're talking about the fabric and everything else. However, I think what is going to change is the way we source the fabric, the way we look at how the impact that we make on the environment. You know, for example, you know, everything is going to be a lot more ethical because people have had the opportunity to actually sit back and think about the planets around us, right? You know, and back in the day, people never used to care about, you know, if their stuff were made in sweat, you know, shop or anything like that. But now people are much more conscious. They want to see the brands that they wear be a lot more ethically responsible. So that's going to change, and we're going to move towards that direction. But one thing also that came to mind is, I think coming out, I wouldn't say we're going to see a boom in tailoring or tailored wear or a suit and a tie. You know, my personal take is that we're going to probably experience a lot more dressed down, casual, or even lounge wear, you know, coming out of lockdown. Because mind you, we've been in lockdown, you know, on and off for over a year now, right? So people have kind of like recalibrated their thinking, and companies and brands have recalibrated themselves to set people up to work from home, very comfortable, right? So it's not all the time that when people work from home, they're going to be wearing a suit and a tie and something that is, sorry,
That's okay.
it's made from for the outside, you know, like a big coat or anything, like none of that, you know. So people want to be comfortable, right? So I think that's going to dictate the way fashion designers are going to look at the fashion that is to come, more or less. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. That sounds very, very that sounds very good. Yeah, I can agree. I agree with most of the points you've made. I think one of the things I think personally, from my personal take, what will happen is in terms of tailoring, a lot of innovation is going to take place within the fabrication, in a sense that, you know, we already know that the virus itself can live up to 72 hours on a surface.
Right.
So how do we create the next fabric then that can actually kill the virus even on impact of the actual fabric, especially if, as we are coming out of lockdown, and you know, eventually, you know, people will start to use the London transport, etc. Imagine you have a anorak or a tailored jacket, suiting, etc. that is actually saying, hey, you wear this. If more likely you're going to go to work, protect your colleagues, because the virus cannot live on the surface, and also you will protect your family whilst you travel back as well. In terms of design, in terms of the classical menswear, I don't think the actual shape or the design will move forward per se. I think I'm talking from a high-end luxury Savile Row. I think the houses will, I think the houses will still keep their house fit and style, but be very open to the fabrication, as I've mentioned before.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that will probably be my take, but apart from that, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, after all, I've had a week to really digest that question myself, and and I think that so
amazing. I completely agree. I think innovation is going to happen, and it's already happening in the way we make the fabric. You know, how it's going to fit, how it's going to feel, and again, like I said, ethically sourced material and things like that. But also, I think fabric is going to be a lot more innovative or technology driven, like you said, in terms of like, you know, you make a fabric that, you know, a virus wouldn't survive on.
Right.
Because, you know, we are hoping for the best and we're actually praying for the best, but we do not actually know.
No, we don't.
The end of this. I don't even want to call the name, you know. So it's something, you know, others it might be, others have been saying it might just be like another form of the common flu, so to speak. And the common flu comes every year, you know, it's there with us kind of thing. So if it's anything to go by, then we have to adapt to that. And for us to adapt to that, we have to look at ways and means of creating the fabrics that we wear, you know. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah. In terms of style, though, I think because some people may be really sick of loungewear, I think the boom might happen, optimistically thinking.
Okay.
For me, I mean, obviously, I can be quite biased in this sense because I think classical formal wear is the greatest, you know. You know,
I couldn't agree more.
People that think it's uncomfortable, I would say, well, you're not wearing the right fit. That's why it's uncomfortable, you know. Because
that's right.
At the end of the day, if you're getting off the peg, it's created for everyone, but we are not all the same size. We're not all the same height, you know. Etc. So obviously everyone's aspiration within the sartorial world should be to their full wardrobe be made of bespoke. But anyway, putting that aside, I think there is going to be a re-emergence of dressing well again. I really do. And I think it will sort of take place in a very small, obviously in a renowned setting such as maybe the likes of Peyronie or London Fashion Week, and it will just grow from there again. People will start to take pride in what they're wearing, you know, and you know, like, because they've been so relaxed for so long, you know. I mean, I remember in the 90s, when the shell suit was so popular and everyone was dressing relaxed, and then you had brush, for example, if you wanted your drain pipe jeans and what they call it, braces or suspenders, and white t-shirts, for example. Now I'm going back. I don't know if you remember this.
90s fashion.
You know, I know you're a young man. You know, and
to me,
my age here.
Honestly,
I have to fix my tie. So it's one of those things where, and I think it'll be good for us because, as you know already, dressing well also lifts your mood as well. You know,
it does.
When you know, and I'm not saying that you cannot dress classically casual with a beautiful polo top and a high-waisted trousers. You know, I'm going to send you guys some waves. I can see you there, and you know, and still look very immaculate. And I mean, take Fred Astaire for an example. You know, he actually used a tie around his waist, for an example, as to fasten the trousers. I'm not advocating that, but that was one of the things that he did. You know, and he looked rather dapper in terms of dressing well.
Sure.
So, what's your favourite brand, and tell them the reasons why? Not to put you on the spot here. I know I don't want to get you in trouble.
You want to put me out of a job? That's what you're trying to do. Come to choose one, and then everyone's like, "Okay, we're not going to work with him anymore."
Okay, all right.
But
all right.
you know what?
You know what? I don't want to get you in trouble. We all need to eat. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, there's quite a few brands that I actually love. You know, both high street and high end. You know, Savile Row. Gibbs and Hawkes is one of, you know, beautiful brand that is on Savile Row. You've got like High Street. I think a brand that a lot of people underestimate for men is actually Marks and Spencer's. You know, and Marks and Spencer's have got really nice suits and nice shoes as well. However, once you buy something off the shelf, always take it to your tailor so they can actually tailor it to your size. Because mind you, when these people buy or make this stuff and put them on the shelf, they're trying to capture a wider audience. So it's not all the time a suit is going to fit you perfectly. It's not meant to fit you perfectly. It's down to you to take it to your tailor to either taper the legs, or, you know, make it shorter or slightly make it longer. Take the waist in a little bit on the jacket. I've got a small waist. My shoulder is 40, but when I go to the shops to get my suits, the trousers that come with the 40 is a 32. Sorry, it's a 38, 34 actually, and my waist is a 32. So I always have to take in my waist. So imagine me just wearing a 34. My trousers would look so baggy and it would look off. So I always have to take it to my tailor to actually just adjust it a little bit so it actually looks like mine, more or less. So, but yeah, like I was saying, there's a lot of brands out there that I absolutely love, both Savile Row, high end and high street. And of course, when it comes to casual wear, brands like Next, you know, doing so well, you know. And of course, everyone loves Zara. And by the way, these brands are not paying me for saying this.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I feel like now you're saying, oh my God, I can hear you like, okay, I need to make a list of all these names because I work with them.
Exactly. You know, but yeah,
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to put you. Yeah, okay, no problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, so what item of clothing that you have or you wear that holds sentimental value to you? Besides your wedding ring, of course.
Of course. Sentimental value. That's a good one. What item of clothing? Wow.
Or accessories.
Sorry?
Or accessories.
Sentimental value. You know what? I'm gonna be extremely cheesy and say, you know what? I keep everything in my heart. I don't put value on material stuff. So if I lose it, I lose it. You know. I've still got my heart. Everything is there. You know.
My goodness. You're making me seem very materialistic.
No, not at all. Not at all, Shaun.
Okay,
not at all.
I'm gonna sip my tea for that.
Cheers to that.
Indeed. That was a very good answer. I like it. You know.
Yeah.
We're not in a fight, by the way. We are.
No, we're not. We're not. Cause I'm starting to sweat. Can you see?
Oh
the question is coming sharp.
You know.
Amazing, amazing.
Okay.
You know what?
Okay. So
if I should flip that question,
sorry.
If I should flip that question, what would you say? What item of clothing or accessory that you have that holds sentimental value?
Okay. There's a few things actually, but I'm just trying to decide which one I should use. Okay, I've got this item. I've got a Casio watch, which I purchased, and it's not expensive. It's just a simple Casio watch. I mean, at the moment, I'm wearing my Omega Seamaster 1954, and that has sentimental value for different reasons. But I want to speak about the Casio watch because most people, they know myself as, you know, every time I buy something, it's of high value. So, and I don't mean necessarily in cost, but also in terms of the material as well. So I bought a Casio watch, and the reason why it holds sentimental value for me, because it always reminds me of my mother and her, and in a sense of the fact that that was one of the first watches she purchased for me to make sure I get home on time. Otherwise, I would know about it. You know,
I like that.
And I remember, for secondary school, and primary school, and it was a black Casio watch. You know, the plastic one. You know, waterproof, etc. Nothing goes wrong with it until it runs out of battery, of course. But I bought a stainless steel one because obviously it's where I am in my life. I couldn't get away with a plastic one, in my humble thoughts. So that's one of the things that I wear for sentimental value, you know. Another thing I wear for sentimental value is this ring right here.
Okay.
And I purchased this from the Great Frog on Carnaby Street.
Okay.
And the story goes that I went into the shop and I really wanted a skull ring, because I like the sense to be reminded that to always enjoy life, because time waits for no man, you know.
No, yeah.
So
absolutely.
that would remind me all the time. But the gentleman there said, look, you know what, I don't think skull really suits you, man. Have a look at some of the other rings, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't as confident as I would now. I mean, if I went in there now looking for a skull ring, you know, I'm walking out of there with a skull ring.
Yes.
So at the time, I looked around and I really fell in love with the lion. And the reason why I fell in love with the lion is because it always reminded me of like the whole thing about the king of the jungle. But for me, the king of decision, the king of you have the power to make the right choices and decisions, you know, and you're the king of your own destiny in that respect. I mean, I know there's an old Greek quote that says, man plans and the gods laugh.
Right.
Kind of defeats the objective.
That's right.
But,
that's right. Yeah.
But, you know, I'd like to think that this ring reminds me, actually, when any situation we find ourselves in, even in the present situation with lockdown as well, we can make the right decisions. They may be very tough decisions we have to make, but we can have the courage. It doesn't mean to say when you have courage, you don't have fear. You act on it anyway, whatever is happening within your life, you know. So
amazing. I like that. I really like that.
Oh, thank you very much.
I really mean a lot to you.
Yeah,
which is great. Absolutely.
I think it's important to have, like, for example, I feel like when I dress well, that in itself has meaning, because it's a bit like what you said in the beginning of the session, that, you know, you dress as you would like to be addressed, basically.
That's right.
And so I kind of started dressing like this as an act of rebellion, if I'll be honest with you, because I didn't feel that I was getting taken any notice of. So I said, okay, I'll just do whatever I want to do. And then I was very much inspired by Salvador Dali, and that's when the moustache came. Obviously, I haven't got it anymore. It's come off. But I had the Salvador Dali moustache. I started dressing very dapper and natty by selling all my diesel jeans, V-shoe jeans, and with that money, and I just went to Portobello, shored it, purchased all the vintage clothing, took it to my tailor, got it taken in, went to a few cowboys, and they butchered some of my clothes, which was
that always happens, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah. And yeah, but you live and you learn, you know.
You do.
So I like to think that although I've admitted to some of my close friends that I'm a materialistic man, you know, and that sounds so shallow. But I like to think that whatever I wear has some form of meaning, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree with you. If you're gonna wear, because what I normally say to people is that what you wear is your introduction to people, especially those that you meet for the very first time. You know, if I wear a pair of baggy trousers down my waist, you know, like a beat up trainers, you know, a bit of a hoodie. Not to say the clothing themselves are bad, but it kind of like represents a set of our society that has got a little bit of a negative connotation. Whether it's right or wrong, it's not the argument. But when you see someone walking, you know, down the street dressed like that, you have something that goes through your mind, say ting, 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 kind of thing. But if I see someone like yourselves, dapperly dressed, you know, with a hat and everything else, there's always that feeling of like, wow, he's taking his time to actually look sharp. You know, the amount of times I've walked down, you know, the streets of London and people look at me like, well, yeah, you dress absolutely fantastic, you know. I mean, I'm not dressing so that I can be complimented, but I think it comes with a sort of respect that you command, you know. So if you want that, you know, you got to dress accordingly, more or less, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree with what you said.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we've come to that time. I think we should answer some of the questions from the viewers.
Yes,
from the
yes.
stories,
Let's go for it.
I'm going to quickly stroll through, make sure no one has actually posted any questions they would like us to answer.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hey Bianca, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Okay, so we don't have any questions. So everyone that is in this session with us, in this chat with us, if you have a question for either one of us, please do comment below and we'll do our best to answer. But right now, we're going to go through questions which some of you viewers have emailed or commented that we should answer. Okay, so
yeah,
starting with the very first one. Okay, let's start with something a bit light-hearted and easier. Let's go for it. Okay, so this is from S. Shawdas. So what or who is /R your chief inspiration?
Okay, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
Woo!
You know what? Thanks for your nod of approval.
You know what? I think again, creatively, I get inspired by my followers a lot.
Your followers?
You know, yes.
Okay.
My followers, you know, like Instagram, and because in the past, what I've tend to do is actually, well, I still do, have a relationship with my followers in the sense of like ask them questions on my story. You know, what do you think about this? What do you think about this style? What do you think I should post about a lot more? Do you want travel? Do you want lifestyle? Do you want like fashion style? Do you want like food and drinks and things like that? And most times it come with consistent answers, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I always do like a snap, you know, pull more or less to actually gauge the pulse of what the followers might want. And once I get that, I tend to go away and come back with something that they could appreciate as well, you know. So that's one thing. But in the sense of like my style, I think that, like we said earlier, my style is influenced by British tailoring combined with Italian tailoring as well. You know, I have a huge soft spot for Italian tailoring. Italian tailoring to me is just everything, to be fair. You know,
is it the craftsmanship of Italian tailoring, or is it the more of the actual styling of Italian tailoring?
So it's both, right?
Okay.
So when you talk about British tailoring or British suit, you know, the notion is that for a suit to be a good suit, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, for a suit to be a good suit, it's almost like it should not be noticed, right? You know, there's always that understatement about the way Brits wear the suit or even dress up, right? It's very understated. You cannot notice the suit. The minute you start to notice the suit, it's almost like takes the attention away from the person, from the wearer. In British times, it's not necessarily a good thing. Whereas with the Italians now, they want you to see the suit. You know, the colors, you know, the fabric, the cuts, you know, the way they style it. It's just beautiful. Like the pic lapels, you know, it's just, wow. It's just wonderful, you know. So that's why I said, you know, I kind of like borrow from both sides, British tailoring and Italian tailoring, and kind of like make it my own, more or less. I'm not sure. I think I went off grid there for the question, actually.
No, it's okay.
Can you remind me what the question was?
The question was who's your inspiration? Or
Inspiration, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
So I get inspired by British tailoring and Italian tailoring, more or less, in terms of like the broader spectrum of things. As individuals, creatively, when I went into blogging, and there were people like Stephen Onoja, who is a New Yorker. He's Nigerian, but he lives in New York. He's very dapper, and the way he wears his suits as well, you know, and he kind of like breaks it down a little bit, but he's very arty as well. The way he shoots his stuff, he's a photographer as well, and his work is amazing. And then there was this duo, I think they called Street Etiquette, you know.
Oh yeah. Street Etiquette,
back in the day, you know, they were doing so well, and their work is very arty as well.
Yeah,
you know. And within the British scene, I actually used to get inspired by someone like David Gandy, you know, the way he wears his suits, you know. He's always looking very dapper, you know. And the way I always try to think about how he would wear something when I'm shooting. Obviously, he's a supermodel, and he's very comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And the way he's very relaxed but yet commands respect. I always thought, wow, how does he do it?
Yeah.
You know. So I like David Gandy, you know, he inspires me a lot in terms of like standing in front of the camera, how to look and everything else, you know. Yeah. And I have to be very honest, my peers as well inspire me. Someone like yourself, you know, I've never, ever, not once, see you drop the ball, basically. You dress so well. I want to look like you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Like the hats, the tie, you know, the pocket square, everything to the nines, you know. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you trying to put me on the spot now?
No, I actually mean that. Honestly, Shaun, you dress very, very well. Honestly, yes.
Thank you very, very much. I'll accept that compliment humbly. As you could tell, I don't take compliments very well.
I know you were like, can we move on now? Why are you just talking about me?
Yeah. So, and the next question is, no. Oh, yeah. So, in terms of inspiration, that's very interesting that you draw inspiration from, you know, your peer David Gandy, and the way you draw the inspiration. It's interesting that you mentioned street etiquette as well. I think,
yeah.
I mean, their work is immensely incredible.
Yeah.
You know, and I love the fact that it's all kind of. I mean, I know a lot of hard work goes into their work, but they make it seem so effortless. You know,
that's right.
And that's what I love about their work. You know. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
And also, what's really great about street etiquette is the way they're very unapologetic for their culture.
They are.
They very much remind me. They're almost the Brooklyn version of Art Come First, if you will.
You know what? That's another duo I was actually going to mention.
Yeah.
You know, they're French British, amazing guys.
Yeah.
Shaq and the other guy, they actually inspired me a lot. You know, and they used to do a lot of work just down the road from where I live. You know, at Portobello Road. And it's just, their work is beautiful. You know, when you talk about, you know, street etiquette, Art Comes First, Stevie Onoja, when they put out their work, it tells a story.
Of course. Yeah.
Every picture, every photo tells a story.
Yeah.
Even if someone's just standing there not doing nothing, it speaks to you because of the way they shoot, the angle, because of, you know, the subject matter, the composition and everything else. I think they're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They are amazing. I might have to try my best to send them, hey, we were talking about you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna have to cut that part out and do it on the
Yeah.
YouTube video. This is how, this is what happens when I get relaxed. You see, this is the reason why I ain't drinking, you know.
Imagine if you were drinking.
Right, you know. Oh, dear.
But we want more of that, mate. We want more of that.
Oh, do you? Okay. Okay, I'm sending some of you guys waves. Okay, right. So, okay. Oh, this is a question from our dear friend Nat Abraham.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, so my question would be: do you think do you think we'll see a move away from casual wear and more of a dressed up style for men generally? Also, if tailoring was to come back into everyday attire, how could it be innovated? Or do you think it needs to be innovated?
Okay. Sorry, repeat the first half of the question again.
Oh, yes,
sure. So,
my question would be do you think we will see a move away from casual wear and more of a dressed up style for menswear generally?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a great question. Thank you very much, Naz.
Yeah, thank you, Naz.
Thank you. And you know what? Here's another inspiration as well. Honestly, Naz has been in the fashion scene for years, and he's been doing great work. You know, his photography skills, the way he edits his photos, and the way he dresses as well. These are like the real OGs of London when it comes to style and lifestyle and everything else. You know,
yes, for sure.
Shout out to Naz. You know, he's one of like the great guys that I actually used to look up to. You know, but to go back to the question, I think I'm not so sure about that, and for the simple reason being of what I already mentioned in the past when I said I think at least for the next few years, 2-3 years, we're going to see a lot more lounge wear because a lot of tailoring is actually driven by city workers, right? You know, they wear suits, they wear power suits and everything else. You know, when it comes to sartorial, like you and I dressing up to go to fashion week, that's different. But the real money is where it's in the city. It's people leaving their homes, going to the offices to work, more or less. Now, if a lot of people are staying back home to work and employers have made them very comfortable to be in their homes, you know, to actually work. And now employers are seeing that, you know what, we're actually saving a lot of money, you know, with office space, with, you know, other overhead. So stay at home and work. You know, even if we come out of this pandemic, I don't think they're going to force people to come back straight away. No. So in that sense, I think we are not going to go into a lot more, well, I say a lot more into kind of like, what should I say? It's going to be relaxed, but it's going to be loungewear, more or less. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
you know, it's going to be loungewear. It's going to be, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
No, you please, you first, please.
Yeah, it's going to be loungewear. It's going to be, but however, when people come out, they're going to make the effort to dress up, just like what you mentioned, right? Probably, you know, if I have had a 9 to 5, I'm working from home from Monday to Sunday, and maybe I want to go out and meet friends on Friday evening or even on a Saturday. I probably want to look my best, you know. If I love suits, I'm going to put my best foot forward, you know. So you're going to see that, but that's not going to be your main trend, so to speak, you know. And to go back to the question, I think we also need to recognize that music and fashion kind of like are intertwined. In, you know, music in a way is a form of an art. It's an art form. So is fashion, more or less. You know, they both drive each other. They have that synergy, right? And having said that, popular music has been a source of inspiration and has driven fashion over the past few years a lot, right? So when you look back at the noughties, you know, when you look at hip hop videos or even pop videos, a lot of guys wore suits, right? When you look at the noughties, it was baggies, right? You know, wearing big trousers, big t-shirts, and looking what they call streetwear, right? Yeah. And then they've kind of like gradually evolved into tailored wear. You know, Jay-Z wearing the suits, you know, singing, well, rapping, whatever he's rapping and things like that. And I think we've come from that, and we're still in a way within that spectrum, more or less.
Yeah.
You know, so I wouldn't say, you know, people are going to go back into a lot more smarter wear. People would wear loungewear because they have to be at home and everything else. And like I said, music kind of like inspires a lot of what fashion puts out there, and music has kind of like seen, you know, a lot of people try to dress a lot more smarter and things like that. I'm not sure when that is going to come back though. Like I said to you, fashion is like a revolving door. You know, give it 10, 15, 20 years, the same fashion will just come back, but in a slightly tweaked way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so would you agree with me if I said to you that you would be of the opinion that what was your second question? Also, if tailoring was to come back into everyday attire, could it be innovated? Would you think it wouldn't be innovated in that regard? So,
I think in this sense, in this aesthetic form, there isn't much you can do about it in the way tailoring looks, right? Because men's tailoring is, I don't want to say basic, but it's very simple and straightforward. You know, a suit is a suit, right? There's only so many variations that you can actually do with it for it to look slightly different, right? But in the form of like creating the fabric, like we spoke of, you know, earlier, in terms of like using technology, probably using fabric that you don't have to iron, which we already have anyway, using fabric that probably repels disease or germs or viruses and things like that.
yeah.
And also it's going to be a lot more innovative in this in the area of ethically sourced material, right? You know, because we have to move away from when we use so much energy and so much natural resources to make our garments. You know, we have to be a lot more what should I say, a lot more responsible, so to speak. So in that sense, yes, it's going to be innovative in that sense, but aesthetically there isn't much. I don't think there's much that is going to change, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure, I agree with you on that note, definitely. Sure. Oh man, I'll tell you. Okay, well, let's put that to rest, because I think we've answered that question. I think, yeah, we've answered that question on a number of times, and I think that, I don't know, I feel that, you know, in terms of the innovation and everything else that's going to happen, or if there is going to be innovation in tailoring, I think the tailoring side of things, when I speak about tailoring, I'm talking about mainly the jacket and the way it's been made. I think it's going to be very much unstructured. What we have now, you know, what we can see now, and I think the mainstream will start to embrace that look right now. You see, because really, when I'm talking more toward the British man, and when I say the British man, I'm talking about the British man that doesn't necessarily follow like how we follow, because we're very style conscious. We're what we're considered insiders or whatever, so we know certain things. So I think now the mainstream will probably be ready to embrace the unstructured jacket, you know, meaning like, you know, the softer shoulder padding, less canvassing in the actual jackets and things like that. So in answer to Night's question, from a technical standpoint rather than because I think you covered the lifestyle side of things, from a technical standpoint, that kind of worked into the lifestyle. I think if guys are going to like dress up for that one day, they don't want to go in looking sharp, power dressing, like, you know, square shouldered and looking like they're like coming from the palace of Her Majesty. You know, they're going to look like, you know, like nonchalant.
I understand. I get it.
So relaxed, you know, in that regard. So that's what I think in regard to tailoring in terms of innovation. And as we also covered as well, I do believe that they are right now manufacturing fabrics which is going to kill the vibe on spot, or at least make it more short-lived.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so do you still have time with us, sir? How are we doing for time?
Oh, I'm good for time. I'm good for time.
Oh, you're good for time.
I am good for time.
Okay, well, in that case, we're at the mercies of Instagram when they throw us out, right? Okay, well, I'll answer a couple more questions. I'll ask a couple more questions, and then we can call it a night, because I know that one is newly married, and I know in the honeymoon section or period, we do not take up too much time in that department. We have to respect. You know.
Sean, you need to teach me, mate. Show me the ropes. You keep dropping like little nuggets here and there.
I'm just trying to be courteous, you know, because I understand, you know. I've traveled the road and I'm still learning, you know, in that regard. So
fantastic.
Okay, so this is a question from a good friend of mine, Tezio, or I like to call her Tez. How can a tie be worn casually?
A tie be worn casually?
Can a tie be worn casually? And if so, how can it be worn casually?
Ooh.
In your opinion.
I mean, of course, you're the tie master, right? So I better be careful what I say here, you know. This is like in your remit, more or less. But I think in my view, a tie represents, again, like we said, there's a few pieces of accessories or garments actually represent respect, more or less, like a pinstripe suit. You don't muck about with that. You know, when you wear a pinstripe suit, you know you mean business, right?
Right.
And a tie to me kind of like literally ties a look together. So it gives you a lot more formal look. Now, think about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a window pane suit, a black window pane suit. If I remove this tie and I unbutton 1, 2, it automatically becomes a relaxed look. Right? Because of the tie. So the tie represents that something of a business, or like I'm in business, you know, I'm going to a business. It kind of like just brings everything together, you know. And because the tie is kind of like up on your torso, you know, it's gonna get attention, more or less. So to try to make that dress down, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Either it's there or it's not, right? And of course I've done looks in the past where for the bow tie, you know, the self-tie bow tie, like a bit of lounger look, you know, just let the bow tie hang, you know, with a whiskey in hand. It makes you look like, yes, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I can knot my own bow tie. All relaxed now. It's after dinner, or it's just before dinner, things like that. I think that could work. That could make you look a lot more relaxed. But for your traditional tie, like this one, in my view, I don't think you can make it relax. And even when you try, like say for example, if I undo this now and unbutton this, it's just for some reason, depending on the setting, it just makes me look a bit sloppy. In my view, do you know what I mean? I mean, look at me now.
What about if you're not, instead of it being a full windsor, what if your knot was a four in hand? Would you think that could work? You know,
in my view, I don't think it could, to be fair. I really don't think it could, you know. But obviously, like I said, you're the tie master, so you're gonna inspire us. You're gonna tell us exactly, you know, everything that needs to be known about ties, more or less. But in my view, I think I understand exactly where you're coming from, and you know, I've spoken to loads of gentlemen, if you will, that wear ties, and these are businessmen, lawyers, medical advisors that wear ties on a regular basis, you know. Yeah, don't worry. You're still looking sharp. So I see you. I'm trying to get up to your level, mate.
And you know, and there's certain ties you wear, no matter how much you try and you know dress it down, it's not going to, you know, it won't work. You know. However, if you wear something along the lines of other than silk, such as your linen tie, your grenadine ties, your wool ties, you could get away with a lot, you know? Like you can apply the tie with the army tuck and then have a high-waisted trouser and boom, you're good to go. Or you
speak on it, tie maker, speak on it.
Or or sometimes it's not even involved around a tie. Sometimes you can wear your tie with the silk and whatnot. But as you can see, I'm wearing a waistcoat. If I put my cufflinks out and I roll my sleeves up, immediately the tire, excuse the pun, becomes much more relaxed, you know, in that regard. So in terms of the actual accessory, the necktie being a casual wearing item, it doesn't really fit, because when the tie came into existence, if you will, it was a uniform. You know, it was a uniform. It was what, you know, military worn. So, and that was in a formal setting. So, you know, in that regards, if you want to go down a casual route, then you've got your cravat, you've got your ascot, you know, which is, unfortunately, I'm hoping that it makes a massive comeback after part 2 of lockdown, because that'd be a beautiful way of dressing a lot of you know, coming out of the loungewear kind of thing, which you kind of you are advocating it, aren't you?
Well,
you know, dressing so well just to put it on for a show for me. How dare you?
Yeah, I want to match you, mate.
Okay, no, but I hope that answered your question, Tez. He's given us 4 questions, actually, you know.
Okay.
Oh, this is a good one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you wear a denim shirt? And if yes, how would you style it?
Oh, I love denim shirts.
I love chambray shirts myself.
I think it's the ultimate shirt, or it's the ultimate piece to actually wear when you want to dress down but still look smart. You know, it's the ultimate weekend wear, right?
Yeah.
And when I wear my denim shirt, I always actually wear a tie with it, in a way. And of course, it depends on the denim shirt. It can't be like all steep and thick and anything like that. It needs to be quite relaxed, you know.
Of course.
And again, I've worked with eating shirts. God, why did I even forget? I've worked with eating shirts a few times, and the denim shirts are absolutely beautiful. The fabric is nice, it's soft, and it just kind of like glides on you know. And when you wear it, you know, aesthetically you look relaxed, you know, but at the same time it feels, you know, it feels luxury. It feels luxurious, you know. And so what I normally do is, even if I wear with a pair of jeans, right, I still put a tie on it, you know, a neat tie actually. It's perfect in my view. You know, wearing a denim shirt and a neat tie, you're laughing.
But then, like I was saying before, that's a very soft or casual way of wearing a tie, you know?
That is right.
Because you wore jeans with it.
Ties.
There you go, sir.
You are the king of ties,
no,
right?
No,
so you know a lot more.
I wouldn't say I'm the king of ties. I just like ties.
Yeah.
You know, I just like ties.
So definitely for the denim shirt. Yes, I love denim shirts, and it gives it like I said, the evening look, or the weekend look, or just the dress down look that is not so dressed down. You know, so put a tie on it, you're laughing.
Okay. Oh, this question is from Shaun. Yes. You, sir. What is the origin of a necktie, and when did it evolve into the tie we know it to be?
That's a good question, so I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay,
no. So I'll give it a stab. I'll give it a stab, and then you can correct me as you've done before.
You're going to answer.
I want to give it a try. You know, of course, a tie has not always been like this, as you already know. No. From my recollection of what I read a few years ago, as you also mentioned earlier, a tie, you know, used to be a uniform for the military, right? And it has its roots within the French side of Europe, more or less, you know. And of course, it kind of like evolved into a cravat, and then over the years, it kind of like became this full-length tie, more or less. So, and that has been going on for like, I think at least 100 years or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I think that's all I know. That's all I know about ties. I'm going to shut up now and let you run with it.
Okay. Well, since the late 1800s, I mean, Yes, so as I was saying from before, yeah, so just to support what you were saying, yes, so the military, it was discovered in a military one, and it took shape more of a neckerchief actually. So it was much shorter, and the idea behind the military wearing it was one for uniform, so everyone knew who'd who, but also for functional reasons of the fact that when they were fighting, it was under coarse conditions. So where do we normally lose heat? It's normally our head, neck, hands, and our feet, generally. And the historians, they picked up on it in the early BC, I think 250 BC, in China. They saw that all the military soldiers, the ricotta soldiers, wearing this neckerchief.
That's right.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing. You know, they discovered these statues. And the earlier form of four in hand were discovered in Italy in the column of Troja, I think it's called. And they were war. And obviously, when you see the soldiers fighting, because obviously, as you go around the column, it's telling a story of the war. And you look at the soldiers, you could see that this is the first time you see them wearing this kind of short cravat in a four-in-hand manner. But then to answer, I can call him Shaun, Shaun's question, the origin, yes, in military format, but as we know it today, I would say it came about when Charles, I would say Charles II, he was exiled and he fought along the French. And obviously when he got back the throne, he brought back the style and fashion of the soldier, because they all wore the cravat. So, and he fought with the Croatians, and that's hence the reason why we get the word cravat.
That's right.
Right. So
that's right.
And so as time went on, you had the bow tie, the ascot, and it was called actually four in hand before, you know, until they're not adopted the four in hand title, etc. And as we go on, you know, obviously gentlemen used to wear waistcoats. That was a part of the suit. Hence the reason why the ties were much more shorter, and it became longer when these became out of fashion.
Yeah.
And so that's when the tie grew longer, etc. Without me going too technical and getting my teeth in too deep. And if any of you viewers watching this right now, you want to know the brief history of neckties, if you go into my IGTV, you'll see, scroll right down to the bottom, you'll see me talking about it for about 30 minutes long, and I go into full details there. I hope that answers your question if he's signed in, Mr. Shaun Sugg. And I think, oh, no, we're not done yet.
Okay.
First of all, I want to congratulate you on your latest styling engagement with Fabio De Andres.
That's right.
Starring Mel B.
That's right.
On the single Love Should Not Hurt.
That's right.
Please tell us more about that, because there's a very important message behind that song.
There is a very, very important message, you know, and this project came about through my good friend Fabio, who's a classical music writer and composer. In fact, he actually used to go to my church, you know, so that's where I meet people. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
He be the music director at my church, Kensington Temple, KT for short.
Okay.
So I've worked with him on previous projects, but this one was by far the most challenging in a way, because you deal with something that is not spoken about so openly, right? And which is domestic violence, you know, towards women and children. This issue, or this particular issue, is very much prevalent in our society, or at least used to be very prevalent, you know, but because of the stigma around talking about it, we kind of like shy away from it, you know.
Oh, is that within the church or just in general?
No, just general. Not,
okay.
I would hope not within the church. You know, no. But just general.
I don't know, that's why I asked you.
Yes, exactly. Just general. And of course, what you saw there, that 4 minutes clip is a representation of physical violence. And as it happens, Mel B herself has gone through that. You know, she was married for 10 years to a music producer, and she said that relationship was very abusive. You know, she was beaten. She was, you know, her money was taken away from her. She couldn't have access to it. And you think, wow, that's a global A-lister, you know, being treated that way. You know, who would have thought, right? But it does happen, right? And of course, not to say men do not get abused as well, but the proportion of women who get abused compared to men is just very different, more or less. Yeah. And what you saw in that video is a representation of physical abuse. We also know that people can be abused emotionally, you know, and otherwise, you know, emotional blackmail, like, you know, threaten them or do other things that would really get their mind in the place that they want to be, you know, which actually causes like mental illness, which is one of a topic that I actually dealt with, like, even a few days ago as well, on my, you know, a mental illness within the pandemic and things like that. So all these issues are kind of like intertwined, more or less, you know, because when you abuse someone physically or even emotionally or psychologically, it leaves a scar. You know, the physical scars might heal, but mentally, it's hard for that to go away, you know. So it's a project that I was very passionate about. And Fabio, my good friend, asked me to be the wardrobe stylist, you know, head stylist for the whole project. Wonderful. And I was chuffed to bits, you know. So I had to dress everyone on set, and it was wonderful.
Oh, wonderful, man. That's actually great. You know, I watched that video, and, you know, there were some parts in it. I was like, I mean, the director who directed it was brilliant, you know, like with the way he just shut off certain bits, you know, to, you know, to, that's right. Yeah, it was very, very nice. And the way the music played, it was very well done. So
it was. And to me, the beauty of it as well is that juxtaposition of classical music, you know, the softness, and you think, oh, this is quite relaxed, very loungy, you know, when I want to, you know, when I'm at home on a Sunday or with my family, very classical, right? It's classic. And then the action within the video is so different because it's violent, right? And you think, oh, whoa, what's going on here? And I think that in itself is a form of art, and it really makes you notice, sit up and say, wow, okay. And it speaks to what goes on in homes, right? Because you might see someone come outside looking all fine, like they're happy and everything else, but what's actually happening inside is a disaster. So that in itself actually speaks to that situation. Whereas when you hear something, it sounds calm, it sounds beautiful, it sounds relaxing and everything else. But what you see is so different to what you hear. Yeah. You know? So I think it's beautifully done.
Yeah, well, congratulations and well done. And I think that your styling and your art direction beautifully complemented the video.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And so, the final question of the night.
Yes.
If you're in England, it's 9:25, and and you know, already sipping his what drink are you drinking, by the way?
Well. I thought you would never ask.
Oh, well,
17:38. I know you finished your bottle.
I'm drinking.
I know you finished your bottle. I see.
Sorry, I finished mine on the.
Yeah, you did. You did just like what? Just one go.
Sorry, no, literally, I poured the whole bottle out, and it was just like, oh, I'm gonna do that in one setting. So normally I have 3 of these, and then I'm good to go, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm having Remy Martin 1738.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, look at that, guys. And before we leave, please give me a rundown of the flavoring you're sensing right now, because you're drinking yours on the rock, whereas we were drinking it neat when we did the wine tasting with Matthias.
Aha. So for me now, if I drank it neat, right, I can feel like the aftertaste right at the back of my throat.
Okay.
And at least for the first couple of gulp that I have. So to avoid that, I drink it on the rocks. And I also like cold drinks, more or less, you know. And it kind of like makes me a lot more relaxed, a lot more appreciative of what I'm drinking. Right. Obviously, the connoisseurs would say, if you want to get the full flavoring, don't put nothing with it, just drink it neat, more or less, you know. Right. But for me now, I'm like, listen, you know, I need to do something zone. I need to be cold and everything else, you know. But from time to time, obviously, when I drink whiskey or any other hard liquor, I do drink it.
A good thing, if you wanted to drink it, a drink like that neat, and you're planning to drink, put your glass in the freezer.
Aha! See?
If you want to experience the full flavor and you want it cold, but you don't want the dilution of the ice.
That's right.
You could do that.
Right. That is such a good tip, mate. Because as I'm drinking this now, it's almost finished. But because the ice is melting, it's actually diluting the taste of the drink. That is a good point. So if I put my whiskey glass in the freezer, get it to cool and be chilled, just pour it. That's a good shout. Thanks for that.
No, my pleasure. I do that. That's what I do pretty much all the time when I'm getting ready to make my old fashioned. I tend to make my old fashioned in another coaster, and I I pour it into the cold glass once I take it out. Take it out the freezer, and then So
amazing. Thanks for the tip, mate.
No, my pleasure. We're all learning something new every day.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so final question of the night. If you could give your younger self any advice about dressing or getting dressed, dressing well, whichever term you want to use, what would it be?
Be comfortable in what I wear. Style is king. Forget fashion. Like I said, fashion come and go. Fashion comes and go. Fashion is a revolving door, you know. What's fashionable today is definitely not going to be fashionable tomorrow. Create your own style and be comfortable with whatever you're wearing.
And what's style for you? What does style mean for you?
So style for me is basically, as I've said in the past, like a window to, it's like a window to the soul. I know that sounds so deep, but style is how you wear your garments, you know, and not just the garment itself. You know, someone else might wear the same suit, but they wear it in such a slouchy way, not confident, you know, feeling like, oh, they don't belong in that suit. But if I want to wear that same suit, I wear it with confidence. I wear it with panache. I wear it with believing that I am the best thing ever since sliced bread, right? And command respect, you know, and that's what style is. Style is wearing what looks good in you, what you're comfortable with very well, you know, and something that someone can actually look at and say, you know what, that guy is the dog's beat. you know, he's you know, he's killing it more or less. You know, you might wear like a bin liner. You know, not literally, but you know, you might wear a bin liner.
It's a term I hear often, and then people say I could wear a bin liner and make it look good, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, that is not true. I couldn't. I would never ever advocate that. You know, so you know, I get the terminology, I get the metaphor.
Yeah, so that's style. You know, style is very personal. You know, style can't be. Your style is unique to you. You know, when I look at you, if I close my eyes, I imagine you as you right now, the way you're dressed with your nice hat, slightly, you know, tilted, with your beautiful tie, you know, with your beautiful tie, with your rings and everything else. And I can even imagine you walking down Savile Row with such panache, you know, such grace. That's you. That's, you know, Shaun. No one else can be you. That's your style. So style is very unique to the individual. You know, you can take fashion and turn it into style. When you turn it into yours, when it becomes fashionable, that's style.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite quotes, and we'll end it on that note, style is visual poetry. So
there you go.
Absolutely
right. Absolutely.
So
yes.
Edmund, sir, it's been a pleasure.
An absolute pleasure, mate. And thank you so much for having me on this.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for giving me your time. Send my regard to your beautiful bride. Or wife, should I say, not even bride anymore. What am I talking about, you know? How dare I, you know? And on that note, good night. And
good night, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if after we've gone, you have any questions for myself or Shaun, or wants to give any contribution to anything that I have personally said, you might disagree with, please send me a DM. I'm more than happy to respond to that. And in fact, I would encourage you to do that so we can share ideas. Who knows?
Yeah, of course. Continue the conversation. You know, it's a necessary evil, if you will. You know. Well, enjoy the rest of your Remy.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony Hayden. Great guy. Listen, we need to catch up soon, Anthony. Fashion One, Mohammed. Thank you so much. By the way, Fashion One is tuning in from Sierra Leone. Can you believe it? Yes, yeah.
Right.
Global.
Thank you for joining us.
Amazing guy. He's one of my really good friends out there. Thank you, Fashion, for tuning in.
Oh, before I forget, everybody, I'm gonna be also reposting this video up on YouTube as well, so you can view this on Instagram, IGTV, or YouTube. I know everyone had their different preference. When I'm watching a video, I prefer YouTube rather than, you know, the good old Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. But, you know, yeah, so just to let you know. And if you do tune into the YouTube channel, I know I'm going to have to shamefully say it like the rest of them. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell button so you don't miss any up-and-coming videos. Indeed. So, and if you have not followed Cut For Him yet, go ahead and follow him on his channel. And if you're not following me yet and you just happen to pass through, do the right thing and follow me, please.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. No, I mean, you know what? I can never take myself very seriously when I ask for people to follow and all the rest of it. You know, I'll just be like, oh, well, you know, okay. Yeah. Follow me, please, you know. All right, then. Have a good night and take care. And we'll
Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you later, Shaun. Take care.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.